Okay, I should be live. Man, I need to turn that fan down a little bit. Hopefully you guys aren't picking up on the fan. I bring up live streaming here so I can see. Oh, damn it. Okay. There we go. Should be better. I definitely need to turn that fan down. That's a little loud for my liking. So, I'll be getting up and down a fair bit. I'm just going to be doing some questing and stuff like that while I do my stream. Okay, I do have a port to Zandalar. No. How is my resolution not optimal? Explain that to me. I'd really like to know how my resolution is not optimal. Whatever. I'll leave it go. So, I'm getting everything prepped over here for benchmarking. So, I know I'm a little bit away. I'm running into a slight problem, and that is, and I run this a lot. When I go into doing a project, I normally have a pretty good understanding on what to expect, and I'm not happy with these results. I've run these a few times here and there, but I realized that I think I had the CPU undervolted because I was doing some testing, so I'm rerunning all the tests. Unfortunately, I'm not using the same test bench, but if I get better results, then I'll just leave it at that. So I'll show you guys what I'm working on right now. So here it is. I need to change this. This is 1080p. So the i3 shouldn't have more than a couple percent lead, about 5%. In some of these gaming benchmarks, 20, 12, 10. That's a bit more than what we should be seeing. So I do want to verify that I might have made a mistake in the initial testing that I did. So. And yeah, I hate it when it does it like this. I have so many videos to do. I mean, I'm doing testing today, but I'm hoping to get to editing tomorrow. I have my final paper I have to write too, so I'm not exactly looking forward to that. GTA 5, data's here. Yeah, I like to get numbers that are pretty indicative of what we should be seeing, and some of these numbers are, that's fine, these two are fine, that's a little big, this one's a little weird, I don't know why that happened, that's normal, that's a little bit high, this one's fine, pretty relatively normal all things considered. I finally have good quality on the stream, so got me something to drink over here. And that's gone. And the reason why the computer over there and the monitor over there is because I don't like to make too many changes, so even though I was running 1080p test, the monitor's 4K and the background was 4K. So I wanted to keep that the same. I guess I can do one of those. War campaign. I'm going to fly over here, just so you guys can see what's working on here. Curious if you guys can hear the CPU fan in the background. I've not fixed it yet. That's why I asked. Let's actually turn something down. I'm going to fly over here. I don't think I hear it, so we should be good. Yeah, so for those of you that are watching, oh, here, let me change the title here. Okay, 2700X plus Vega 64. call it. So I did a video. I was comparing my Cryorig cooler to the H100i. Now, normally, that's not an interesting video. The H100i is an AIO. It's $100-something, 110, not between 90 and 110, and it should perform probably slightly better, right? So what I thought though was, okay, I have an open air GPU, puts out a lot of heat. Not really, it's like 65 degrees, but it's just the only reason why it runs so well or so high is because I have really good, or has really good cooling. It has 3 huge fans, like 200 and 100 and like a 90mm fan, right? So when I have a really small ATX case, is liquid cooling better? Well, if you actually take the results, no, it's horrible. However, that video is going to be a little different. What that video is going to be about is, it's still the same thing, but I think it's going to, okay, yeah, I'll do this one, that's fine. Basically, it lost by like 14 degrees Celsius, essentially. And I think the reason behind that is because I think there's something wrong. Something's failing. Now, I did use NZXT fans. They're relatively flat. They do have a fair bit of static pressure, but that's going to be a degree or two. Not going to make a huge difference, right? So there's definitely something wrong with the cooler. So that's kind of what the test is going to be about. But yeah, right now, okay, this should be done. Let me go ahead and reboot. This reboot is good. Actually, I don't. I keep taking myself out. In German, they actually have a phrase basically saying rebooting is good. So I have to reopen everything up. But so it has no Windows updates. The only thing is I'm not running on an SSD, but the games are running off of an SSD, so it really should give similar performance, something of that nature. So, hey, there we go. Island Expeditions. I don't think I've done one of these yet. Maybe I have. Not entirely sure. I think I have. Oh, I can't. We don't have a healer, do we? No, this is enhancement. Warlock. Meh, I'll live. All I'm doing is I can't go over there. Pay attention to what the hell. I like Demonology. I heard it doesn't scale very high or very well on the higher end, but at least for leveling, it's pretty solid. Hang on. So that's... a little bit of that life steal there. Oh, what am I doing? What am I doing? Actually winning, which is a shocker. Ah, damn it. I don't want to header that guy. Here, I'll grab all these guys. I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm thinking that like maybe somebody else should lead this. Say I definitely didn't just level.
Hey, we have got a lot of Azarite over here. You at best check it out.
I should probably turn that off. Yeah. I don't know what the heck. Heal me, but that works. So we're losing right now. We should probably, I don't know, maybe stop losing? Yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing. Full disclosure. There is a quest over here, and I feel like
the fund is half full. Keep it up, and we will be done in no time.
yeah, we're barely ahead though. Here we go. I should be able to take this on, no problem. I love Implosion. It's such a fun spell. Up a bit. There we go. Damn it, I shouldn't have used that. Fail. Actually slightly winning, which is a shocker. Okay.
The detector is on. Check your map for Azerite concentrations.
Okay. Another rare mob. Again, absolutely no idea what I'm doing. Okay.
Looks like that Corsair ship is almost full. We're going to have to leave soon.
Yeah, this isn't good. I'm pretty sure we're gonna lose. And I feel like this is not something that you should easily lose. Fine, I'll go this way. Yeah, we're gonna lose. I don't know how we won, but I'll take it. Sweet, leveled up my Azurite piece. Oh, okay, I'm good. Start quest. 700, that's a fair bit. Where do I quest that right now? I think yep, I do a quest up there. So I'm gonna go fly to Darkmoon Fair to get the XP bonus. I head back up there. And I'm gonna get a test started behind me here, hopefully. Okay. Okay. Running Cinebench. Of course, I had to close out a couple windows. When I do synthetics, I generally do not have, or at least Cinebench, I don't have any other programs running other than like Hardware Monitor and MSI Afterburner. And generally the only two. Back to org. Oh, so went ahead and bought my dad some Christmas presents here. So he's getting a power supply, 500 watt case, and a DDR4 stick. So here's the reason for all that. My mom in 2012 was diagnosed with terminal, pretty rare, small cell colon cancer. The people live 6 months to 2 years normally. It's not very long. And at that time, the longest somebody had lived after diagnosis was a little bit over 5 years. My mom was diagnosed almost 6 years ago. So she's still alive, obviously. She's doing okay. My dad has had multiple knee surgeries. But where he actually was good for like 10 years. And everything was going good, and then he got hurt at work. And don't know what happened, because he was doing good, knees were fine, because it was just like MCL, ACL stuff, nothing serious. But then something happened at his last job after like 10 years of nothing, or working with no incident, and then need a whole new knee, and now he can't work. He has trouble getting around because he has a fake knee. He can't lift more than like 20, 30 pounds. Anyway, so he's home right now. And, you know, give him something to do. He's been tinkering with computers, and so he's the one who kind of taught me everything. The basics. I mean, I far exceeded him. He's still pretty helpful with diagnosing things, so I will definitely give him that. I still turn to him. But outside of that, when it comes to modern stuff, I always keep him up to date. I always tell him what's going on and why things are better, and, you know, so we have kept him up. But yeah, he's taken to it, and he needs some test products. So he has DDR3, he has DDR2. He wanted a case that is pretty legacy, so it has like 5¼ inch bays, can support SSD, HDDs, you know, full ATX, but not too big. You know, so basically he needed something that is pretty wide range of support, and he didn't want me to spend a lot of money. So that's why I got that DIY branded case, it'll be perfect for him. He wanted a decent power supply. That one's on sale. It's not bad. And he doesn't have any DDR4 RAM. He only has DDR3 and DDR2. So that's why is she on a mug? I'm confused. What is my wife going on about? Oh, it's my wife sending me stuff. But yeah, so he'll be happy. Got him some stuff to tinker around with, and you know, he's it'll be good because I think in the future, you know, a lot will depend on my mom if she's still here. Hopefully she is. That is definitely the hope. And you know, if he's in a better spot, he might be able to do some further assisting with me. So in a short period of time, probably less than 2 months, PC Value Solutions will officially be a thing. It will be a company. It'll be an entity. The entity is a for-profit entity that's going to come in the ways of what I do now. But I'm going to, you know, actually have, you know, a business account and business credit card, and everything's going to be running through the business, and just kind of done right. So, you know, I'm pretty stoked about that. It's not something that I think I can make a ton of money on. I don't make a ton of money on it now, but I'll be able to actually see year over year what it's really doing for me. So I'm going to be relying on YouTube. I'm going to be probably spending several $1,000s above and beyond products. So like when Ryzen 3 or Ryzen 2 3rd gen essentially comes out, you best know that I'm going to spend money. You know, I'm going to grab probably several CPUs. You know, we're talking, I'll probably grab the 16 core, I'll grab the 12 core, and I'll probably skip the quad or the 8 core and probably grab the 6 core. You know, I'm interested in some of the lower, I'm really curious how good the Navi is going to be. So I talked about my last stream, that, you know, they're talking about 20 compute units and stuff like that. Oh, this was finished. Let me go check on it. Okay, so we got 5. Okay, so we definitely got an increase. I'm going to run it one more time because I did have other things open. So the most interesting CPUs to me, this one straight up. Normally, people say, get the cheaper one and overclock it. Here's why I disagree. I have messed with overclocking through the years. Intel is a bit more stable than AMD has been, at least for like memory and stuff like that. But the reality of it is that if they're rated higher and you get a board that will boost it, you can pretty much be guaranteed with like a 98% certainty that this CPU will boost to 5.1 with an all-core boost to like, say, like 4.6 or 4.8. This one you're not, right? And you have to manually overclock. It's a better binned chip. That's why it sells for more. Sure, you can get a better bin other chip, then you might be able to push it. But anyway, I think $50 is worth it. $50 gives you 400 megahertz, which in theory, 400 megahertz this level is 8% performance. So 8% performance for essentially, here, well, let's do the math. Very simple. So 50 divided by 450. 8% performance for 11% more money. Not really bad. So this is an interesting chip. This is also an interesting chip. And this is where $30 definitely worth it. 100% worth it. That's an interesting chip. These two are somewhat interesting, but the ones that really have me... So this has me interested. This... We talked about this yesterday during the stream. I've run into issues. I'll address that in a second. Do I think it's true? It definitely could be. But take it with a grain of salt until we hear officially. That's my take, right? So When you look at what Threadripper is delivering on 14 nanometer now, 12 plus, right? They have very similar specs. So I don't think it's completely out of left field that they can deliver this. But the reality of it is if they deliver these chips at these prices, rip Intel. Because as I'm going to be demonstrating in the video here that I'm working on, so this one's good. So I did actually bump up 2 or 3% in multi-core. I think single core will be the same now. For the most part, Intel is a 5% advantage, and that's due to IPC. Clock for clock. So if AMD gets a 15% increase in IPC, they now have leaped them by more or less. Here, let me kill this guy. They've left by them by 10%. So now they have a 10% head start or advantage on Intel. Then they're going to match them and or exceed them in clock speed. Okay, so now we're going to be anywhere from, we'll say conservatively, 12% to 15%. Okay, so basically they went from 10 to 15% behind to 10 to 15% ahead. Now they are going to crush them on price. Absolutely crush them. I mean, come on, look at these prices. This chip, essentially, okay, and, I'm not 100% sure. Like, the problem with going to Micro Center is I have to buy one board per chip. Now, I can buy one good board and a bunch of cheap boards. Definitely can do that. But I have to also buy some Intel chips as well. But, essentially, this should be able to match and or slightly get ahead of the 9900K for less than half the price. That's going to be a problem that Intel can't overcome. And, if you watch I was watching most of the WAN show today, Intel is having a lot of trouble with 10 nanometer. I was talking to Kag on the forums, and he disagrees. And my thought process is that, sure, they can make one chip. Okay, they can sell one chip. However, it's very important to note that the consistency of the yields are low, and they're making really crappy margins right now. Like they're not even going to make half the profit on it if they were to release it. The chip's not ready. It's not refined enough. It isn't. And there's rumors that Intel, with having all the fab issues they are, might just can it and go 7 nanometer. Because TSMC is mass producing 7 nanometer. Clearly, they are, because, they're able to release it for AMD, and AMD has the console market. So, case in point, you put so we have two things coming down the road. So let's take a look. The Xbox One X is essentially using a underpowered AMD APU. So the CPU is pretty weak, but they're using essentially an RX 580. And what I mean by that is it's literally almost, it is the board. I mean, it literally is. I think it has like a couple less compute units, or a couple more stream processors, a couple less compute units, but it's an RX 580. That console by itself is $500, I think. It's like $400 or $500, right? So here's kind of where we run into some problems, though, is they go really cheap on the CPU. Well, this right here is $100. This is a Ryzen 5 2600, and this is a Ryzen 5 2600X essentially. And they're probably about as cheap to manufacture as the current low-end APU CPU that they're using. So there's going to be a huge demand, because they're coming out with the RX 3080, okay? And that's going to be $250. At the consumer side. So logic would say that with a mass order from Microsoft or PlayStation, they can probably get that price down quite a bit, obviously, or at least they can get down to the same price as they did for Xbox One X. I don't think that's unreasonable, right? So now, this is where it's going to be interesting, is if they take those two products, which is the Ryzen 3 or a variant of that made for consoles, and the RX 3080, you now have a $500 or $600 console that will be able to compete with a $600 gaming computer. That I'm okay with. You know, I get it. You know, console peasant and this. You know, the reality of it is I want everybody to enjoy what they do and have fun. And if that's a console, that's fine. The only downside is that'll hurt me a bit, right? So it kind of sucks, but you know, I would love for what I do to succeed, but I don't want to do it and then a lot of other people suffer, right? So if a lot of families have to start spending more money on gaming computers because consoles fall behind, you know, that's great for me, but I look at it as like, yeah, but then instead of spending $400 or $500 on a console, they're going to spend a lot more money on, you know, a decent gaming computer, probably almost double, or risk, you know, say, well, go get used. Well, you know, if you're not a gamer, or if you're not a PC enthusiast, going used is not always the best option. I've gotten burned recently on some used stuff. Nothing or a lot, but if maybe $100 or $200. Interesting enough, I do have Forza Horizon on this computer.
Kill him like Nitro would.
Wait. Now I've been killing all these people, and I did this last time I did this quest. I didn't plant banners. That's fine. I'll live. Oh, I really like Demonology though. But see, I mean, here's the problem is when I talk about PC hardware, I haven't used AMD much until about 2017. That is. But anybody that I interact with says, "Well, you're an AMD show." Not necessarily. AMD's definitely more enthusiast friendly. Intel only has been recently, right? You know, so sure, yeah. If you want to say that, that's true. But the realistic part of it is I like gains, I like performance, I like new technology, bringing stuff to market, and for longest time, literally all we had was, hey, 5% IPC bump, and better on the power consumption. That's boring. Anybody in this space, I mean, you talk to Jay, you talk to Paul, you talk to Steve Burke, you know. Even Linus, right? Linus has been doing this probably about as longer than both of them, at least from a full-time standpoint, right? So, if you look at, you know, how long Linus decided to have Linus Media Group, for example, I think was longer than Jay. Jay was a tech tuber, but he had a day job. You know, Linus decided to, you know, go all in and say, you know, well, if I lose my house and my kids can't eat, well, that was a pretty good experiment. You know, I'm not even doing that, right? I still have a 9-to-5 job. I'm gonna have that for a while because you know, I have a wife to support and a dog to support and all that stuff. But anyway, so I'm gonna take one out of Jay's book. So I digress here. So, but I would not really be interested in being in the space if Intel just kept doing what they have been doing, which is basically exact same platform, 14 nanometer, and you know, IPC increases. Just not interesting. And I would be doing something else. That's how boring tech's been recently. Well, it's funny because if you went from an i7 920, I disagree. 920 was very slow. It was 2.66 gigahertz. So I had a 920. It's really freaking hot too, by the way. But I think you would not agree, because 980 was like 3.33, I believe. 980. Yeah, 3.33, and it was 6-core, I believe, right? Yeah, I believe so. So from that standpoint, yeah, 6-core 12-thread, you didn't make a huge increase. Now, if you were to overclock, yeah, I'm actually covering that. If you were to overclock your 4790K to 4.5, you'd probably see some gaming performance increases, nothing groundbreaking. But you know, like I was saying just a minute ago. So if you had i7 920, you know, which is 700 megahertz slower, right? I really shouldn't hit that button. Definitely would have saw a pretty big increase, especially if you overclocked it. But stock for stock, the IPC increase was very little in all things considered. It might have been 15% from first to, you know, first to second gen was pretty big. I want to say that was 10 to 15%. But where the big gains were was the clock speed. You went from essentially 2.6 for 20 from a 920 to 3.6. 1 gigahertz and 1 gigahertz over 26. You're probably around 40% if I had to eyeball it, right? So 40% increase in raw performance plus the IPC. So you would see anywhere, at least from a single thread standpoint, you could see upwards of almost a 50% performance increase theoretically, right? But yeah, so to cover, yeah, it's about as far as I took mine. I agree with a lot of content on YouTube. It's not realistic. So here's the thing. You kind of have to be different. And I try to be different. Man, I have a lot of these to turn in. I try to be a little bit different. So I like what I refer to as real-world testing. And what I mean by that is I look at what my customers buy the computers that I build do. And most of the time, they're multitasking. A lot of them have multiple screens. In fact, a very large portion of the computers I've sold recently were to people who wanted to use multiple monitors. Now, I haven't actually done that in my testing quite yet. But that is something that I actually do plan to switch over. So when I become PC Budget Solutions officially, from a company standpoint, I'm going to do multi-monitor testing going forward. That is just going to be part of it because that's something nobody else really does. So I'm going to have Discord. I'm going to have Chrome open. I'm going to have a YouTube video playing on loop in the background over there. I'll even, I don't know, I'm going to have a set series of programs, everything that are going to be running on every test I do. That is what I feel is what people would be interested in learning about. And my father and I actually, my father and I were actually talking about this today, is that, you know, so I'm doing testing right now. Here, let me actually check something here. Okay, so perform slightly more. Sorry about this. Let me get something going here real quick, if you don't mind. I gotta get my Chrome tabs open. So Discord's web page. Mine's tech tips and homepage. US. That was US.form. Right. So what I'm interested in is yeah, that was my point. And somebody says, well, I do that, and my comment is okay, that's fine. There are so many people out there. Oh, I know. I'll circle back to what I was going to say. There's so many people out there that already do the kind of testing that would be relevant to you, right? So it's not interesting for me to just copy everybody in what they do. It's not. You know, it's interesting for me to do something a little bit different than what a lot of people are doing. No, don't die. Oh, apparently I stood in something and died. So if you want to see, okay, if I get a i9-9900K and a Ryzen 7 2700X with an RTX 2080 Ti with a 1080p monitor on low settings. What is the theoretical difference between these two processors in the absolute perfect environment? I have 30 videos I can show you on YouTube. Why do I want to be video number 31? I don't want to be video number 31. What I want to do is say, okay, you have a budget. And in this budget, you have $2,000, which you can get a 9900K in a $2,000 budget. You can. But you're not getting an RTX 2080 or 2080 Ti. You're getting, at best, a 1080, which is good card. You know, don't get me wrong. And again, I'd have to actually look at numbers, but let's say 1,500. I think 1,500 is more reasonable. That is where if you do spend $800-900 plus cooling, so let's say $1,000 on the platform, you have $500 for the rest of the build, and guess what? You're getting a 1070, which is a really good card, okay, or a Vega 56. You know, that's perfectly fine card. Apparently I don't have... Oh, I need a soul shard to summon him. Fail. And that, like I said, that's perfectly reasonable. But my point is that, so, okay, you're gaming today. You want to know exactly what kind of performance you can expect in a real world scenario, because you don't have an unlimited budget. And that's kind of always been my thing. I've gotten arguments with Grief on the forum, Shoddy, CAG, a fair bit, and my point has always been is, okay, we already know that the 9900K is the best gaming CPU out there. Okay, I don't think, you know, I'll never say that a 2700X will outperform it. Or, you know, if you want the best of the best, get a 2700X. It's not the best CPU on the market. No, you know, it's not. But if you have a budget and you have to make compromises, well, can the 2700X do what you want? And in the video that I've done recently, which is 9900K versus the 2700X, that is actually what I learned. And is that, okay, I want to do high refresh rate gaming, okay? Can a 2700X do it? Yes. For 1080p, it can do it. 1440p, it can also do it, interestingly enough. And that's something I previously did not know. I was always under the assumption that if you want to go above 60 FPS, you absolutely have to go Intel. And that actually is not true. At 1080p, it is able to push those frame rates. Sure, a 9900K might push 200 versus 175. We'll say that was the number. I don't know. That's probably not right. I'm probably over exaggerating a little bit. But if you're 1080p, 144 hertz, then why does it matter? You know, if you're going to cap and there's no issues with frame time, you know, the frame times are fine, the minimums are fine, the 1% and 0.1% lows are well within acceptable ranges, then why would you spend an extra $300 on a platform where you can get a much better GPU, which will actually give you a sizable, tangible real-world performance increase? So that's kind of where I've always been at on that kind of testing in the platform. Is, you know, I'm interested in what you want to do and how it will perform in your environment. And if you're streaming, if you're running multiple monitors, if you're running multiple programs, that's relevant. And a lot of people disagree. And where the discussion me and my father were having was, I bought a 1440p monitor back in 2012, okay? It was a Korean panel. It was a, wasn't an IPS. It wasn't a VA either. It was a technology that doesn't really exist anymore. I think VA replaced the technology that I was using. But what we've learned is I had an HD 7950, and it gamed at 1440p pretty well for the games that were out there. In 2018, 6 years later, The amount of people that game at 1080p, according to Steam, is over 85%. So in 6 years, 4K, 720p, 1440p, and all the other random resolutions in between have only accounted for 15% of the total audience. That's it. Now, back then, might be a lot more people with 720p. I don't know. I don't have that number. I don't, right? But I don't think that really matters. Because you can just take the one number that I think matters, and that is currently 85% of people would not benefit from a graphics card north of a 1070 or Vega 56. That would be the highest graphics card you would need. And with that, every single modern CPU that is $130 and above, paired with one of those two cards, can push 60 FPS at virtually almost any settings except probably Ghost Recon Wildlands, probably not the stupidly extreme setting. So, in 5 years from now, when you're replacing your graphics card for the second time, because logic would say you replace graphics card every 2 years, or every 3 years rather. When you're running 4K, GTA in 4K, I think it's pretty reasonable game to consider. Will probably run close to 144 FPS on both the Ryzen 7 and Intel platform. I think the Intel platform, as it stands right now, will perform a fair bit better, 15%, but they'll both be over that. But the current generation games out there at 4K are still going to be bottlenecked by the graphics card. I'm telling you that right now, that won't change. That if it didn't change a couple years ago, to now, it's not going to all of a sudden change again. I know, I'm burning charges. I'm just really bad at this game some days.
At least I die with both feet on the
So, that's kind of my point, is the architectures and such on these chips are so that your bottleneck, you're not gonna, it's not like Bulldozer and Sandy Bridge where there was a huge, like 40% single thread performance gap. It's not like that. It's in a best case scenario 15%, and we're talking high end to high end, not mid range to high end. But there's a lot more goes into it as well. You have to have the right board to be able to support it. You have to have tons of cooling. Even my Cryorig R1 can't cool a 9900K at 5 gigahertz. Trust me, I've tried. I have a customer that has that set up. It cools it pretty well at like 4.7, but even so, it gets in the 80s, so it gets a little toasty. But I just don't think CPU is going to be limited in 5 years. I think that, you know, the limitations are going to be hard. So, for example, World of Warcraft, perfect example. I'm running 70-80 FPS. My GPU is running relatively hard, but I would go to say, what kind of load do we have here? Oh, here we go. Bouncing between, mostly in the 70s, right? 80, you know, whatever. 1440p. That's the kind of load that I'm getting right now. So, if you switch over to an Intel chip, a 9900K, you will get essentially 15% better FPS. So if I'm sitting at 100, you'll get about 115. Not hugely noticeable. If I'm hitting 30 FPS in a raid, for example, because, you know, there's a lot of spells and details going on, Intel will get 34. Not noticeable at all. So, where's it noticeable? It's not, really. 40% is noticeable. 30 versus 18, noticeable. Or we'll say 30 versus 45, right? Or 43, whatever it came out to be. That's noticeable. The 15% is just... It's almost either margin of error or the number's so high that it's irrelevant. And there's just not... I don't think there's enough... It would have to almost double for it to really matter. I'll be back in a second. That's interesting. I did not expect that to be that much higher. I actually didn't have the power limit all the way up either, but I got a better number, so be it. So let's go ahead and open Steam here. Not Steam. There we go. Oh. Hopefully you guys can still see me. Oh, I didn't even set the fan curve, did I? No, I didn't. So I even have a less aggressive fan curve on that run. So here's something that's true about my benchmarking. So I don't generally do a ton of passes if I don't have to. If I get, I'll run a couple of the shorter ones, and if I get really close results, I'll kind of keep going. But in this situation, what happened was that I got a score that's about 300 points higher in Final Fantasy, which at this level is about 4 or 5%. But I noticed I didn't have the power target all the way up, but I got a better performance, a fair bit better performance than the last run. So I may rerun this again. It's a longer benchmark, but I'm thinking that with AMD power target on these cards, the RX 570 is not very relevant. So if all the other results fall in line, I'll keep this. If the other results are vastly different and there's really no performance gains, then I will probably rerun this test again, because maybe it did have an adverse effect having the power target down versus up. I don't know. I'm actually going to do Ryzen Tomb Raider. It's actually a benchmark I like. It's not super long. It's very easy to set up. It launches the game relatively quickly. So some of the videos, if you haven't seen any of my streams recently, that I'll be working on. 200 GE versus Phenom 4, or 2x4 965 Black Edition. That one's coming. I have the H100i is the pump broken, or I'll name it something silly for clickbait purposes, obviously. That'll be coming. An unboxing I already reviewed it. That's up. Maybe I don't think I did. I don't think I uploaded my monitor. Maybe I did. I'll check. No, I definitely didn't. I have the footage there. So that's coming. So the monitor I'm using, I don't think I did the footage there. And then I have a couple videos here. So the first video is going to be. I should have did a build log of this. Oh well. Going to be the i3 8100 versus the Ryzen 3 1300X. So what I think I'm going to do is, once I finish these results, tomorrow I have some editing, but the next test I'm going to do is comparing one stick to two. So I'm going to run a couple of the benchmarks. I'm going to run all the benchmarks again with one 8 gig stick, and then I'm going to run it with two 4 gig sticks, and they're both going to run at the same speed. So I actually want to see on the low end how that affects performance. So that'll be a video I'm doing. I don't have a lot after that, unfortunately. I think that's probably it. So I think Christmas time might be a little bit eh. I have a couple things I think I still have to edit, though, that's on the drive. No, that one's not interesting. So this one's on high. Display. No, we don't want 4K. That would give us horrible results. And we definitely don't want VSync. Apply. Yes. Back. Back. Or benchmark. Ah, man. So now finish this. What do you think of the Navi leaks? Jeff Daniels, nice build. Like it a lot. I have a very similar build, except I have a 2700X with the Vega 64. So, yeah, I would actually... Wait, I want to change... Wait, I'm confused. You have an RX 580 runs without problems, but you also have a 1070. Must have two computers. Yeah, I mean, the one thing is I'm running FreeSync, so I'm not sure if that was obvious or not, but this monitor does support FreeSync. It is 144 hertz, 140 or 1440p monitor, so it is definitely it is a TN panel, or no, it's a VA panel. Excuse me. I've noticed though the colors are not fantastic. I did actually dial it in a little better because it was pretty blech for a little bit. Well, yes, finished. As for the Navi leaks, I think it's Navi. Yeah, I'm gonna call it Navi. I don't care if it's right or wrong. It makes me think of Avatar. Speaking of which, Avatar 2 and 3 are coming out in like 2 and 3 years from now. By the way, they finished up filming and they're just do post production now. Anyway, so relevant. At first, I thought it was too good to be true. And then a lot of people pointed out that it's not too good to be true, like it kind of has to be true. Either AMD has given up on the high end. What the hell? That's it? I didn't kill crap there. Either they've given up on the high end and really focused on the mid-market, which sounds really probable. And they really have to they really have to dominate the mid-market that much better. And I kind of agree. It definitely sounds like a stretch, but if you think about it, it's almost like they don't have much of a choice. You know, granted, I mean, far more people and OEMs buy like RX 580s and GTS 1060s than 1070s. It's the sweet spot. It's going to do 1080p, 144 hertz gaming, right? It's going to be able to, oops, I didn't mean to throw that there. It'll be able to do 1440p gaming, maybe not 144 hertz, but it'll at least do 1440p gaming. So what people have said to me is that it has to be that good. They have to literally sell a GTX 1080 class card for $250, because they've been so far behind on the high end. So they think it's very plausible. Oh yeah, this quest, I remember that.
Are you so afraid? I will grant you a portion of my power. My own work will expunge any faithless who challenge you.
Now, if this guy was so powerful, how come he couldn't do this stuff himself? Do I play it? No, I do not play. So the games I do play. I play an interesting list, so obviously World of Warcraft, if that wasn't obvious. League of Legends, I haven't played much, but I did play a lot for a while. Forza, I have Horizon 4 and Motorsport 7. Live for Speed's a pretty cool racing sim with a lot of aftermarket mods. I play offline, I don't play online, generally speaking. Just because the game itself I find is quite boring, and without mods and extras, like, basically completely screwing with your horsepower and performance, and you can import different cars and stuff like that. They kind of frown upon that.
Come forward and answer for your crimes, Corvec.
How come? Well, I'll get back there in a second. That's not a bad price. Now, the question is, was yours a reference design or not? I'll go back to that quest later. So, it's funny. I'll give you a list of every graphics card I've used in a personal rig. Now, mind you, the graphics cards that I have used in just the current generation, 1080, not used, have worked with 1080 Ti, 1080, 1070, 1060, 1050 Ti, 1050, 1030, Vega 64, not Vega 56, interestingly enough, RX 580, 570, 560, and 550. So I've worked with all of them. Now, just my graphics cards alone that I have personally used. MX 440, FX 5200, FX 5950, 6800 Ultra, 7800 GT, 8800 GT, 9600 GT, 9800 GT, GTX 260, GTX 480, HD 7950, HD 7950 in Crossfire. Way too much heat output, just like GTX 480 was. Let me think what else did I have after that. I believe I went GTX 780, then I went R9 290, but I got an aftermarket one. It produced way too much heat. Then I went with another 780, so I went back to the 780. Then I went with an R9 290 Tri-X, so I had that one. And then I went with 970 and 970 SLI. Then I went with 980 Ti. Then I went with 1080. Then I went with Vega 64. Then I went with RX 580. Then I'm back to the Vega 64. So, yes, I've moved around a lot. And I'm not really paying attention when I'm doing in games, so just ignore my terribleness right now. CPUs I don't think is much better, by the way. Yeah, I do, I'm generally streaming playing WoW. It's pretty rare that I'm not. So, CPU list. That's one I get wrong in the mid-level. So, Tech Media 120, manufacturer overclock to 166. Pentium Pro 200 MHz, Pentium 300, Pentium 3 500, Pentium 3 800. Pentium 4, well, somewhere in the mid to low ones. I want to say it's like 1.6. Pentium 4 with hyper-threading around 3 GHz. Then I went with a Pentium dual-core, I believe, in the mid-2 level. And then I went with a Q6600, followed by an i7 920, which was paired with my GTX 480. And that was the hottest computer, because it was an OEM too. It wasn't even a custom build. Oh my god, it was so hot. My 480 ran at 100 degrees all the time. My CPU was running 90 degrees all the time, and I literally had like a fan blowing into the side. Anyway, after the 920, I ended up with an i7 860 or 870, and then I went backwards to an E8400, followed by an i7 2600K, followed by an i5, yeah, don't ask, i5 4690K. I remedied my mistake when it was an i7 4790K. That was followed up by a Ryzen 7 1700X. That was a bad unit. It wasn't. It actually turned out being a issue with the board. I didn't realize that at the time. So I ended up going to 1700 on my Ryzen 1700. And then so when I went from the Vega 64 to the 580, that was because I took a really big pay cut at work. I needed money, so I kind of sold everything off and made something cheaper. I just, you know, full disclosure, so you guys understand why somebody would be that stupid. Anyway, so I ended up going from a Ryzen 7 to a Ryzen 5, and I'm back to a Ryzen 7 2700X. So, just so you guys, if you're interested in all of the systems that I personally have used, when it comes to what I've used out there, I've used every chip on the market since Gen 2, so Sandy Bridge on. I've essentially, no, I've used every chip. I have used every chip. Probably almost every SKU as well. So we're talking, I've used every i3, every i5, every i7, all the way to 4th gen. 6th gen, I've used... okay, I'm gonna put 6th and 7th gen together because some of them were refreshes. So I believe I might have used an i3 6300. I did use an i3 or i3 6100. I did use an i3 7 series. I do have a 6400, a 6400T that doesn't work, a 6500 that sort of works. I just sold a 6500. I had a 6700K that had issues. I bought a bunch of CPUs from a guy that he thought worked and didn't, so yeah, I learned my lesson there. And then I've used a 7600K. What else? Let me get everybody together here. I've used 9900K. I've used every Ryzen chip. Every single Ryzen chip that's ever made, I've used. Yeah, no, that's a lie. That is a lie. I'm sorry, guys. I completely lie. I'm not using 1800X. And I haven't used anything 2nd gen with the exception of the 2700X. So I've used everything 1st gen except the 1800X. And I've only used... 2nd gen, I've used the 2200G, the 2400G, and then the Athlon. I've used both those, so... should probably grab this flight path while I'm over here. I swear I'm not ignoring anybody if you guys are talking to me. It's just I only have one screen right now, so makes it a little bit difficult. Driver issues, not really. Nothing out of the ordinary anyway, so that I can say. Oh god, I'm dead. Fail. Oh well. It's right there anyway. So that's interesting. I'm actually getting some performance increases. So undervolting the CPU definitely caused some issues. That's actually quite interesting. I'm going to bring up the ASus singularity test here in a second. I like demonology. But yeah, I mean, I've used a lot. I really have, and that's part of why when it comes to... So, I really hate when people recommend stuff that are not actively engaged in the tech industry. Let me explain. They generally give good advice. So, the good news is with the exception of a few people that I work with on or talk to on a daily basis in the industry, a vast majority of everybody pretty much agrees on a lot of the basics. Ryzen is a preferred platform in gaming in many scenarios. It performs very well, gives you better value. May not perform better overall and in best case scenarios, right? But it is a really good platform. There's some people that say that if you're not buying a 9900K, you shouldn't buy a computer, right? But even some of those people have kind of changed their minds a little bit. Some people on a lot of forums. I swear that that's what they're trying to preach over here. But anyway, but like I had somebody trying to help somebody on Craigslist, and clearly they've built a computer before. It's pretty obvious, and they give some really basic advice. You know, get a GTX 970. Sure, it's a great card. Can't buy one new anymore. So why are you giving that advice? Yeah, you built it with a 970 a couple years ago, and it is a good card, especially for a budget. But you can't build a 970, or you can't get a 970 anymore, not new anyway. So, okay, I'm confused. It says he's right here. Maybe I have to kill him. Oh, and they say get like a 750 watt power supply. I'm like, really? Why? I mean, the problem is that when people say I want to get a gaming computer for my son, or daughter, so I don't want to be, I don't want to get accused of, not using the right, pronouns or whatever. And I have sold to people with daughters too, so definitely more sons, but it's not out of the ordinary. Hey, I leveled. Oh, I guess dying makes that buff wear off. That kind of sucks. That they don't need to know what specs. What they need is they need somebody who can guide them to what to buy and where. And of course, it's relevant to ask, are you building your own? I get that. But building your own is easy, okay? For me, it's easy. I've built nearly 700 computers in 6 years. 7 years, okay? It's easy. I make mistakes, though. I still do, 100%. I make mistakes all the time. But it is easy. However, what's not easy? When everything arrives, you box it up for... your kid to open up all the parts. You guys go to build it in 3 weeks when the return, or right after Christmas, and there's problems and it doesn't work. That's not easy. And I think that's where a lot of people, discount that if you don't have a lot of experience with building computers, and you don't have some spare parts to diagnose things, if something doesn't turn on, you're like, oh my God, what do I do? And I don't blame you, because you're going to YouTube things, and a lot of things are not going to make sense because you're new to it. You understand the basics, and based on my videos, you watch my videos, you can definitely build a lot of very similar computers. It's not hard. I can put together a computer with one SSD, one hard drive, video, without too many fans and stuff like that, like no more like three or four fans. I can put together a decent computer in 45 minutes. With some cable managing involved. I can. But not everybody can, right? And where the problem lies is that, if they don't know how to diagnose... he killed him. If you don't know how to properly diagnose things, which you don't have the extra parts, then you're stuck, and you're going to have to either pay somebody, or hopefully somebody knows tech enough and has new enough technology to test it. Like... your IT guy, right? And I hate when people say, I got an IT guy. When it comes to computer hardware, your IT guy does not know more than me. I'm telling you that right now. I'm not trying to be an egotistical asshole. But there's not a lot of people in this world outside of, like, you know, some of the bigger guys like Steven Gamers Nexus and Jay, and I'd even go say Linus probably doesn't have as much hands-on knowledge with a lot of the hardware that's out there. The reason being I say that is because I've built more than he has, and he's a little bit out of touch with the whole spectrum. He's busy running a company learning about all the tech. I only focus on computer hardware, right? You know, so sure, I haven't done custom water cooling. I'm just not really interested in allocating my resources to that. That's to be honest. It doesn't give you any kind of real tangible performance on most of the computers I work with. So, you know, why would you do that? But, you know, you have to also your computer guy most likely has a DDR3 system. He probably doesn't have the newest stuff. So he's not going to have everything to diagnose. He's not going to know anything most likely about some of the newer platforms and understanding, like, you know, you really should look at a QVL list, especially when dealing with Ryzen, which is something I actually haven't done until recently. And the reason why is I've been very lucky with almost all of my builds hitting rated speeds until I ran into one that didn't. That's when I learned, right? So, you know, looking at some of the comments, again, not realistic testing. I completely, you know, so what I mean by that is you've built a couple computers and you kind of stay up to date. So you can give a parts list, and that's fine. But the thing is somebody that built their first computer once that isn't into hardware at an enthusiast interest level, meaning that you're not on Linus Tech Tips, you're not watching YouTube videos about it, you're not watching my stream talking about it with me. That's different, right? But people that built a i7 4700K or i5 4690K and a GTX 970 4 years ago, and they might have watched a handful of tech videos in the last couple of years, should not be giving out advice in open markets. I'll give you an example. I'm on the Build a PC page all the time. Those people, for the most part, the ones that recommend, are people who've done a lot of builds and have seen a lot of builds and have advised people. And then there's good discussion because there's a lot of experts, a lot of people who build a lot of computers, like me and some others. But the areas I'm talking about is I was involved on a post. It was a lady looking for a PC for her son. And I almost want to say, everybody shut the hell up and let me talk to this lady, because I understand what she's actually asking for, which is, you know, can somebody talk to me and give me some guidance? And that's what I do. And my guidance is going to be, I'm going to ask her, okay, so do you know anything that your son is interested in? Like, does he want something specific? Did he want, like, a certain color? Does he like lights? Is there a specific keyboard? Is there any specific games he plays? You know, a lot of those questions are going to say, I don't know. But there's a good chance, you know, something like Fortnite might pop up. And luckily, Fortnite doesn't take a lot of power, right? So, they have drove away, yeah. You know, so you have to gather, and it's called discovery. I learned it at Verizon. I do it in my current job because I do pre-sales and inside sales for software, is that you have to understand your customers' needs. The difference is right now is, while I do have a stake in talking to these people, my biggest concern is trying to find them the right solution. And I have connections in my area where if I can't fulfill their needs, and I can't fulfill their needs by recommending something even online, which I will recommend pre-built, like from CyberPower on Newegg quite often, right? But if I can't fulfill it, I will find somebody that can. And sure, like I said, you know, I get it that I have a stake in it where I can make some money off of them, but I'm not going to make money off of them if I'm not going to have a happy customer, straight up. If their budget's too low and I don't have enough used parts to put something together at a good price, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to tell them that I'm going to try to find some good deals online, and you know, with some of the people I work with, I have a couple of people that build computers, and we try not to compete. We generally have different targets anyway. Why did that kick me off? Oh. I know why. You know, so... But the thing is that every single person in that thread, with the exception, I think, there were actually a good friend of mine actually responded too. He actually had a computer that might meet her needs, or for budget is actually 400 to 500. He has a first gen i7 system, which I'm not a fan of because it's slower, but it does have like an R9 384 gig, or R9 390 actually. So for 400 bucks, it's a good deal. It really is. I don't like it because it's first gen, but it's not like it's a bad deal. You know, and he does decent work, right? But there was like one other person that was giving good advice. The rest of them were just throwing words at them. And somebody's like, and the other problem, this is kind of the other problem I have too, that I see a lot of that I get annoyed of, is if you are not in the space of building and supporting customers, you should not be doing it. Let me explain. When I build a computer, I will meet with the customer either on the phone or in person, and I will drop their needs and their wants, and I'll tell them, I think I can deliver something that will meet your needs, and this is the lowest price I can get it at. And that price is going to include anywhere from 10 to maybe 20% for me. Okay, I charge. I don't do it for free. Okay, but this is what you get with that. If something fails, bring it to me. I will take a look at it. I will figure out what's wrong. If I have something comparable to replace it with, like a memory stick or a mid-range graphics card or whatever have you, or a fan, well, if it's a fan, I can do it right then and there most likely. I will put something in there for you. And then I will RMA that if it's acceptable. If it isn't, I'm going on Newegg or Amazon and I'm getting something here in 2 days to replace it. I'll RMA your part. I'll get the other one back. I'll put it in inventory, or I'll sell it and take a loss. That's how I handle things. My failure rate's probably around 1% on average. Joe Schmo's not going to do that. I do. That's the difference. There's this guy named Eric Garrity, and I hate to call somebody out, but he pisses me off because he constantly emails me threatening me to fight me because I called him out. And I said, hey, I got a question for you. So you're talking about how people are selling overpriced junk. I don't disagree. Some people are selling some like FX series systems for like $1,000, and it's ridiculous. You know, I agree. I said, so, you know, kind of tell me about what you're doing. He said, well, you know, I build it. I don't, you know, I could build this for this price. And he was charging a fair bit too. It was kind of ridiculous. But I said, cool, what's your warranty like? He said, what do you mean? I said, your warranty, like, you know, if something fails. He said, oh, everything comes with a 3-year warranty. I said, oh, wow, you do a 3-year warranty. I generally only do a full year with parts, with how I replace it. And I do a 3-year support warranty, lifetime, but I've moved it down to 3 years, with the discretion of doing it for free later on. And I was like, so what do? Do you buy a replacement? Do you RMA? He's like, no, if something fails, they can contact manufacturer at 3-year warranty. I said, dude, that doesn't work. Like, you don't realize I have RMA'd, I'll answer that in a second. Yes and no. I have RMA'd 4 things via Gigabyte with a turnaround time of 3 weeks. I don't think it's acceptable for a customer, whether it's residential or business, to be down for 3 weeks. I don't. And second problem, if you buy the parts and give it to them, they can't RMA it. With the exception of EVGA, I don't think any other manufacturer is really on this list, but I could be wrong. Warranties don't transfer. They actually say non-transferable. EVGA will transfer the warranty under 2 assumptions. One, the product's registered and deregistered, and it's registered and proven with the date of purchase, and you will keep the warranty up until the warranty actually expires. Or it's never been registered, and the warranty is going to be based off of date of manufacture, which, depending on shelf life, can be 6 months to a year shorter than the actual sales date. Okay, so I'm letting you get it straight. You're making a profit on this person, similar profit to what I'm making, maybe a little less, and you aren't going to troubleshoot. You aren't going to even help them send it back. You're going to put all the support on them. So then, what are you doing? And this guy still emails threatening me. saying that I price things too high. Okay. I spent $600 building a system. I'm asking $750. Of course you can build it cheaper. And if you can build a computer yourself, you shouldn't be talking. Let me phrase it. Feel free to talk to me. I will help you, recommend things, not charge you a dime. That's fine. But if you want me to offer support and, you know, be an advisor and, you know, build things to spec and take time out of my day, I want to get paid on it. And, you know, generally speaking, if I charge that much on the open market, that's because people are going to try to get me down. And I want to at least make at least $50 to $75 on the deal. It's not really worth my time otherwise. I've built more computers than probably anybody in my part of the state has. Can't prove it, but there's probably very few people that can match what I've done. I've tested almost every component that's pretty much available on the market in the last 5-6 years. So I can tell you what to expect in many scenarios to a decent level of accuracy. Your tech guy or your guy that's built 1 or 2 computers can't do that. He can only go off of what Linus, Tech Tips, and Steve from Gamers Nexus do theoretical benchmarks on. And we just talked about doing real-world testing, which is something almost nobody does. And that's a problem, because that's what understanding your customer is so important in the B2C space, is you need to understand what your customer is doing, because I have a G4560 that'll game fine, but it won't game fine multi-monitor running multiple programs. You'll end up using up almost half your CPU processing power supporting that. So that's that. I hate to be ranty, but that's the reality of it. I don't think anybody should work for free. To quote the Joker from The Black Knight, if you're good at something, never do it for free. And the reality is he's right. You know, I'm passionate about what I do. I have years of experience and everything to back up why, why to utilize my services over some others. You know, and if you want to go to the repair shop that has the newest thing they have is a 1st gen Dell system to build you a custom PC, that's fine. I guarantee you that they're either using pirated Windows, they're not being honest, or they're not really experienced in that area. You know, it's just, there's a lot of people in my area that do good work. There are. There's a lot of people in my area that don't either. There's a guy, he runs his company's called MD PC. I think he's fine. He charges more than I do. His margins are pretty high. I don't know if that's for negotiation purposes or if he actually gets people to buy it. He used to sell a lot of OEM stuff though, but he's done a fair bit of custom builds. A lot of systems aren't great. There's some FX, but I think overall, he does sell a decent amount of good stuff. As for has sales increased? Yes and no. I do have referrals and reoccurring customers where I've done some upgrades and rebuilds for. A lot of my stuff I usually build and sell on the open market. The problem with Ryzen is it's a fantastic platform, but Intel's name is still better. NVIDIA's name is still better. I have to balance making it look good versus being good. Case in point, I try to get at least, I would actually take a slight hit on quality of the build quality of the case, as long as it's functionality and it's fine, for something that looks flashy. Because I do have to basically make these products sellable. You know, I want people to actually say, hey, I want to buy this. You know, it looks cool, it's eye-catching. So, but I do, there's a fine line, right? I won't sell a much more expensive product with name recognition just to sell it. I'm going to build a better product. I will definitely sacrifice in areas that have no tangible difference, such as, you know, I might like this case better. They might have a slightly better build quality to it, but this other one has RGB, and it's going to be more appealing when people want to go buy. The ventilation's fine, the expandability's fine, but a good example is the brake. It doesn't have a screw-out PCI Express on the back. They're breakout. I don't like them. I think that's just a way to be cheap, cut corners, but you know, it's fine. If the other case is a little bit cheaper, a little bit flashier, and has the same overall functionality. Get this going here. GTA 5 action going here. But yeah, so that's how I handle stuff. However, when I do incorporate, I'm going to make it very clear that products have to either be accommodated and brought to me, which is 1 or 2 locations where I live or where I work. I live 26 miles east of the city and I work in the city, so or if I do come and get it, I am going to charge a pickup fee of $20 and delivery fee of $20. That'll be part of it. And that's just because, look, in the end, I want to help people. I like helping people, but if I want to be able to continue to do it, I have to make some money doing it. So, but again, if you think about it, though, most of the time you have to ship it, and like with my RMA stuff, I have to pay shipping to them, and shipping computers expensive. Now, I can ship most things for less than $20, but not a whole computer. You're probably looking at like at least $45 to $60. Usually, when I ship to New Mexico, it's like $60 to $80. Because I have a client out there where I've built her now 4 computers. I built 2. One of them had some issues. The other one I just did some upgrades to. So I rebuilt. I rebuilt them one and sold them another one. So sorry, GTA 5's taking a minute. Why? I hate this so much. It yells at me saying, hey, everything might be blurry. Fine. I'll open settings and let you fix it. There we go. It only happens on GTA 5 too, which is annoying. But I'll give that'll take a minute or 2 to load. Yeah, and you know, there's sometimes ways to really go cheaper. I have contacts. Oh, cool. I have a quest to do. I have people that do buy a lot of you know, older stuff like 1st gen, 2nd gen Intel stuff. They honestly, their work is fine. I recommend a lot of people their way because I can say, hey, look. This guy's usually pretty good with supporting. He's not as good as me at supporting. Don't get me wrong, and there's really nobody in the area outside of maybe a couple of shops I can think of that are anywhere close to what I usually offer. I didn't mean to fly there. But you know, if people are cheap, I know people that sell stuff at a pretty good price. I sometimes come into gold mines where I can sell stuff cheap and still make bank. A good example is I had a guy, I'll I'll tell you here in a second what he sold me. And I actually made some money on it. Run test. So, this guy sold me a Phenom 2X4965. Had 16 gigs of DDR3 RAM, a 600 watt power supply, 240 gig SSD, a nice Corsair Spec 02 case, monitor, keyboard, mouse, speakers, everything. Windows license, $70. Really good deal, $75. And then I just got burned by buying a $70 monitor that I was worth about $20, and it didn't even work. So, you kind of, yeah, you win some, you lose some. But yeah, I mean, I've bought some stuff where people are offering. I bought 4 WD Black hard drives, 1 terabyte, and $50 for all 4. Fantastic deal. I'm actually almost out of them, so kind of stinks. Yeah, that's actually doing a little bit better, possibly. But, you know, I look for deals like that. Now, this is where you just have to be a little bit careful, is I include those in a lot of my builds that are new. So, you know, I generally tell them these are new builds, they have 1-year warranty. You just have to, that's why it's so important to have support and warranties, because, you know, God forbid one of those drives die, I'm eating that 100%. Honestly, if one of those drives die within probably 2 or 3 years, I'm probably eating that too. But they're running on SSDs for every day, so there's not an expectation that more than one of those might have some issues down the road. You know, but the thing is I'm still only marking it up 10 to 15, maybe in some cases 20% over the cost of essentially like $12 a drive, right? So I don't cost it out at like a $60 drive. I cost it out as like a $12 drive. So it's still a win any way you look at it for the customer. But yeah, I mean, the funny thing is there's ways to be cheap without, you know, causing issues. You don't have to get, oh wow, I still have this one up. I'll give you a perfect example. Let's look at power supplies. Oh, this one's much more expensive than what it was. So, this power supply, $55, not on sale. I'd use this in any build short of maybe a 2700X with a Vega 56 or 64. I would use it on basically a 2700 or lower and like a 1060 or 580 or lower. In fact, I used the modular, oh yeah, this is a modular version, on a 1600X with a 580 for like 1.5 years. No problem. Not a problem at all. No reason to spend a lot of money there. Case, people spend a lot of money on cases. I have, straight up. My current case I didn't. My current case was dirt cheap. Here, I'll get an Asmir next. I have a Fractal Design Meshify. It was like $75. It's actually a really nice case for what it is. I like small ATX cases. I really do. It's kind of my thing. And believe it or not, thermals are fine. So I'm gaming, I'm streaming. CPU hit 73. Wow, this, you know, I've been putting a lot of load on this, right? Hitting almost 4 gigahertz. So none of this is anywhere near like thermal level. Now, when I stress test it, yeah, this might hit like 85, maybe. But it also hits like a lot of wattage too. I also have stuff blocking that. But when I'm like using Adobe, it hits like in the 60s. Like it's fine. Yeah, sure. If it was in my the last case that I had, which was the H500 by Kohler Master with the mesh front, well, I had mesh and glass options. You know, that cooled a lot better once I took the once I put the mesh back on. But this is fine. I mean, definitely a different case in my next build, which will probably be in a couple months. Yeah, I rebuild like every few months. Yeah, and that's pretty big for me, you know, building trust, and I get quite a bit of referrals. honestly, my biggest market is people with kids. They don't have they have enough technical expertise to understand, you know, that I'm not scamming them, but that's all they have. They really have no other expertise outside of that. Man. Some of these actually were better. Let me see here. GTA 5, GTA 5. Oh no, they're all better. Okay, so interestingly enough, it turns out undervolting really killed my results and gave me a sizable gap in performance, much higher than what I expected. There we go. 10%. Still a little bit more than what I would like, but much better. So, ASUS Singularity, that actually was only 7%, so I'm curious if there's actually going to be a difference or not. Now, mind you, I'm doing real-world testing, as I always do, so I don't know what you guys can see. Oh, thank God, I thought I didn't have Discord open for a second. So, I make my... Oh, you guys should be able to see most of it back there. So, I have 4 Chrome tabs open. I have the World of Warcraft forums, Linus Tech Tips, which did have a video playing earlier, but the Linus forums, and then just the Discord page is the one I grabbed. I have HW Monitor, I have Discord, not logged in, MSI Afterburner, I have the launchers open respectively, AMD drivers, just a lot of stuff that you would expect to have open. And that's how I do my testing. That's how I prefer it. So this place is kind of a mess right now. So this is actually like a 12 by 15, but it's not a full 12 by 15 because it corners essentially. Like this, but like over here. So I have 2 lights. I need to get better lighting, and I have shelving over here. But yeah, I need to move this operation downstairs at some point. I'll probably write off renovations once we have the money and do everything downstairs in the basement. There's a lot more room. It's a lot cooler, especially in the summertime. But yeah, I will eventually do a storefront and have somebody run it, particularly my dad. But you know, we have to figure out logistics for him. He may not be able to. What on earth is going on there? Oh yeah, that's right. For some reason, this game is not running full screen. It hasn't on any of the tests I've done. So I'm keeping it the same. But I do have to reboot it. Jeez, it's midnight. How long? I don't know how long I've been streaming for. My wife would say my head's so big I can block out the light. I really can block out the light. One of the things I do want is I'm using like a card table over here. I'm going to get a slightly shorter, so this is 6 foot, and then we get a 5 foot wooden table like what I have with legs from IKEA. I think that would probably be better because it bows, and I've actually had a computer fall from sliding, and I broke off 2 of the legs. Now, luckily, I bought regular generic stick-on legs, and it's fine, but because of the little micro ATX setup. So, loading assets, whatever that means. I'm gonna turn this off so you guys can see my awesome face. Oh, yeah, I used to work at Verizon. Screw them. They're probably mad that I'm wearing a shirt, but I don't really care at this point. There we go. Make sure standard. Yep. So we're going to go ahead and... What I do is I do the GPU test and then report the CPU results. I feel like that gives me the most accurate explanation. Oh. Let me see if you guys have sent anything since I'm gone. Nope. How warm is it in here? Oh wow, it's 26 degrees. Jesus. There's an easy way to fix that. Open a window. 26 degrees Celsius. I'm in America, but I deal with Celsius a lot because I work for a German company. It's funny because they always try to figure out what is in Fahrenheit, and I always report the weather in Celsius. They try to accommodate us, but it's like, dude, like I can do Celsius, man. Just I don't know the exact number. I have to do the calculation, but you know, if you give me a you tell me 18 degrees Celsius, I know your regular room temperature. It's like in the upper 60s, upper 60s, lower 70s. Sure. I'll heal more often. Sure, I'll talk to you.
Name your target. Let the hunt begin. Make them pay.
Okay, 2-hour mission.
What is it? My queen.
Is everything in order?
Yes, my lady. The Banshee's whale is prepared to depart at a moment's notice.
Good. Work with our champion to determine where we will secure a foothold first.
As you command, War Chief.
See it done. And dispatch reports of your progress.
We will not fail you. Safe journey, my lady.
See, my buddy wants it. To answer your question, well, I've been streaming for almost 2 hours. Jeez. I don't know because I haven't played Forza a lot. Where I have actually had issues, is the game starting, the demo starting. A lot of the times on systems just wouldn't start. It just starts and nothing happens. Let me and this. Oh, I got an upgrade trinket. Yeah, I'll put this one on.
Do you want something?
Yeah, I can't say that I really have, but the one problem with ASUS Singularity is the test results are so they can change so much test over test. It's not even funny. Like literally, FPS went down by almost 10% just running a different test. Which I find. Oh wait, no, I need that bag open. Okay, it didn't close. Come on, 3D Mark. This is regular. Yes. Yeah, I mean, it could be a lot of things. It definitely could be driver related. I would honestly try, if it's been issue over multiple driver iterations, I probably wouldn't mess with that. Interestingly enough, try mess with your RAM sticks. If you have like 8 gig kits or 8 gig sticks, maybe try pulling one out and see if it still crashes. Remember, system memory and display output and stuff like that are pretty closely linked. So.
Keep your wits about you.
Let's see if there's anything good here. Oh god. Okay, good. Almost died. So one of the cool things with the Darkwing Fair is if you ride this, and I only just found this out recently, so everybody else probably already knows, but you get a buff, which is nice. That's popped. This right here, if you guys can see that, I don't know what causes this. It has to be graphics card related. But it has popped up on browsers a couple times. And it's definitely not running hot, so just food for thought. I know I'm not crazy. Just so you guys. On here. Curious if you guys can hear the CPU fan in the background. I've not fixed it yet. That's cool. Cool. That did show up on the stream. Okay. Interestingly enough, looks like 3D Mark crashed. It was canceled by user. What?
A moment of your time, Warlock. The Council of the Black Harvest requests your assistance.
I'm reading a guy went to Micro Center for the first time. Now, the closest one to me is 2.5 hours away. So I live 26 miles east of Pittsburgh. And the closest one is in Mayfield Heights, Ohio. But I've made that trip 3 times. And I enjoy it. I don't mind driving. But I do look forward to making that trip in the near future. I need a transmog here. Actually, I think I know what I'll transmog to. Man, I'm getting congested again. I will keep that. I don't know if I'm sold on that or not. See what I got for gloves. No, I like that shirt, but it just doesn't work. I'll have to go with this one. I need to find another white shirt like that. I actually kind of like that setup, but I'm going to go with those. Those should be fine. Now we need some pretty easily hidden gloves if possible. I'll go with those. Those are fine. And staff. This one. So. All purple. Now I'm going to change my hair color and match. Yeah, I'm weird when it comes to transmog. Oh, lucky you. Which one, you know, tell me, but I'm curious if you don't mind, which one do you live close to? My dad said if Micro Center ever comes to town, I might as well just sell the house. Okay. So that's better. It actually scored lower on 3D Mark Fire Strike, and I think I know why. I don't think when I ran it the first time I had the settings opened. That actually does make me feel a lot better. So I reran. Oh no, 549 is what it was. My apologies. So that's the same. That's good. This one changed. I have to run Ghost Recon, and this one actually went up 5615. That's interesting. I do find that quite interesting. So I need to run those two, and then I'll be good. That is interesting. I'm going to rerun this. That's right. I'm going to rerun that last. So I'm not convinced that that's a repeatable answer or not. Ah. Makes sense. Everybody yonkers. I would go to say this as far as purchases of a 500 gig Samsung portable SSD, fantastic purchase, 100%, one of the best purchases out there. go. Apparently I don't know my own password. Sorry for the silence. Just focus on what I'm doing for a second. And this is hot. Ooh. I'm going to turn the other one off just because of how hot it's getting. Ooh, man, those are getting hot. That's actually like almost cold by comparison. I do need to get proper lighting. I need to move downstairs in the basement. This is the upstairs, and we have the main level and then downstairs. Okay. Sorry if you guys can't see me as good. For the testing, I have no idea. That's probably somewhere where I fail. And the reason why is because whenever I switched the SSD over, it couldn't find the drive. I had to reload it. So yeah, it kind of sucks. So normally they're on the same builds. I generally use Windows 10 Home for most of my testing. When it comes to secondhand parts, Craigslist. To answer your question, I do a lot of buying and selling on Craigslist. Buy low, sell high, right? So not a bad deal, decent deal. I actually would be interested in buying that if I had a board. Not a bad deal. Not a bad deal. Overpriced in my opinion. I've almost bought this twice, but I pulled out both times because the guy just kind of started to get flaky. Let's see what else we got. Not really a good deal. This one's okay. Overpriced. Overpriced. Compared to this, overpriced. Good deal. Very good. Only one fan works. Not so good deal. Good deal. Not bad. That's expensive. That's not too bad. A little bit pricey, but not bad. That's too much. That's too much. That's too much. That's a good price. That's not too shabby. Not too bad. I'm going to... This is way too expensive. You can buy these cheaper, newer. This one's not too shabby either. Not a bad price. That's a little pricey. This one isn't too bad either. Yeah. I wouldn't buy this. This one's not a bad price. I tried to buy it a couple times, and the guy just never got back to me, so... This is a little pricey too. Let's see what computers are for sale. So, this one isn't bad. I think it's a little bit expensive. This one also isn't bad. Not a fan of the case though. This is pretty good. Pretty good. I would say if they can say they licensed it, not bad. This is interesting. So is this the case? I think it is. It's not telling me. There should be, yeah, it's a Corsair 540. This one's not bad, and I'll tell you why. that's worth decent money. Wait, it doesn't say the power or the video card. None. Okay, no, that's not a great deal. So this is the guy that he has a shop. So here's the thing. I sold my Ryzen system, which had 240 gig SSD, 2 terabyte hard drive, 16 gigs of RAM. It was actually all set up RGB and everything. Ryzen 5 2600 aftermarket Kohler 580. I sold it for $850. I think we ended up coming at $800. It was used though. I don't know if this is a new system, so that would be, if it was a new system, I'd say yeah, sure. But this guy is, I think, on crack. Yeah, I forget what's all in that, but I feel like it's not a good deal. See, this one, this guy, same guy, MD at PC, he's on crack for that one.
This temple is the resting place of Sephiroth, a powerful Loa that protected my people from destruction. She sacrificed herself to stop Mithrax. But with her...
Oh, come on. Yeah, it's pretty rare that I sell an APU. I have one for sale right now, but I actually added a used R9 380. And the reason why I'm doing it is because I bought it from a computer that I built. So it's actually surprising, despite the guy smoking, he actually didn't smoke inside. So he actually kept it in really good condition. I didn't even have to clean it, so I was actually quite happy about that. Yeah, I generally try to go dedicated. It's pretty rare that I don't. And that's the thing. That's why I tell people, don't get into, you can't, like, if you think you can build a high-end gaming PC or get in a gaming PC business and make all these margins, you're not. There's no margins to be made, really. I mean, I'm already charging what I think is a premium. And I just think that what I do is worth it, and that's why I'm okay with charging that. But you can sometimes find better deals from like CyberPower and stuff like that. Let's go this. Gotta get ahead of my buddy here. Yes, passed him. I like Demonology. It's a really interesting spec. It's like, it's so much like pets. It kind of reminds me of Bestial or BM last expansion. Man, did I just destroy everybody in DPS. Yeah, not even close. I mean, I'm also like legit spec'd for like single target raid DPS. I'm not even spec'd for leveling, so. 60.25. I actually didn't want much there. I'm actually surprised. I expected that to be a little bit higher. Yeah, I'm kind of an asshole. Well, me and him have been buds for, oh god, most of our lives, 20 plus. Implosion. I find that such an interesting spell. Basically, your amp's just going and commit suicide for you. That's essentially what happens. I find that quite funny. Well, I'm benching in the background, obviously. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's where the profit's at. I just don't enjoy doing the use build as much. Because, I don't know. You're usually limited because you don't get high-end use builds. Ever, really. It's always mid-range at best. And the other thing is you know, while there is profit margins, the warranty becomes a little more difficult. It's like, how do you warranty it, right? When you buy something used, you're not, you know, entirely sure how well was it taken care of, how well it run. Of course, you can, you know, test as much as you can, but, you know, if it was heavily mined on, you know, how many more years does it have left? Was it mined 24/7? Did they undervolt it? Did they keep it at a certain temperature range? You know, so there's a lot of questions to be asked. So if I go AFK, I wonder if you'll notice. What's weird with these results is it's still shown that was GPU limited, not CPU limited. This one takes a little while. I'm not. Ray tracing technology is fantastic. The problem is anytime you're new to market with a new technology, especially in the hardware space, you generally run into two issues: support and optimization. So I get it that NVIDIA hyped up ray tracing. It is really cool, but the performance hit and the support just absolutely by no means is there, and that's what kind of sucks. Is that you have a technology that you essentially can't use because it absolutely has been crippling performance, and if you do use it, it cripples performance. If you don't, then it's like, why did you pay all this money for this graphics card then? Oops, I should probably be paying attention. There we go. Now my DPS is up. I was like, what the hell happened to my deeps? Man, do I do a lot of damage. I know Demonology doesn't scale well with gear, but let me go ahead and second. Let's set up here. Oh, that's right. It has to refresh the update. I'll run that once we're done. Darn it. Yeah, I definitely need to get him back up. I think that performance might be a little better. Let me see. Yeah, that performance is definitely up. There we go.
I hold dominion over all.
They're like spam Demon Bolt. Why not? With 50% haste. That's pretty hard. Sweet.
The storm has broken, and I am myself again. Thank you.
Damn, I didn't get anything out of here. Not a lot of quest items, if that counts for anything, but... Wait, you messaged me? Oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm doing dungeon. Indeed. Okay, so no, you haven't. I've had a few months. Yeah. That's good to hear. I'm at the end of the stream. It's been 2.5 hours. I do appreciate you guys tuning in. Nero, I try to stream every now and then. Just talk to you guys. I enjoy it. You know, I don't have a lot of people watching generally less than 10, so I get to interact. And when I get a second monitor, I'll be able to interact more. But I'll do my usual outro. If you liked the video, liked it. If you disliked it, dislike. Leave a comment, subscribe, buy things. I don't know. Whatever you need to help me out. As always, this is Steve from PC Budget Solutions. I will not stream next week, so we're on my honeymoon, or our honeymoon. But I'll see you later on. There we go. Down the road.